You don't look like Mark. You're muted too.
There we go. Yeah, I didn't know whether that's a compliment or not there. I think he's lucky that he doesn't look like me. Looks like Joseph and Beth are coming on board here.
Different topics to cover tonight, and we have we've set up a couple of opportunities for some breakout sessions as well. So let me first, on behalf of the district governor team, welcome everyone to our first session for the 2021 President-elect training seminars. And as I said, each evening we have a seminar. We're going to be meeting from 7 to 8:30. So I'd like to start by reviewing with you the agenda. Charles, can you pull up the first slide on the agenda for me? And do you want to do, yeah, let's do slideshow. Yeah, perfect. From the beginning, and the next slide, please. Perfect. So we're going to start off tonight with an opportunity in a few minutes' time. We've set you up in regional breakout rooms, and this is going to provide an opportunity for the president-elects and the assistant governors to have some time to make introductions so you get to know each other. Some of you may already know each other from previous Rotary work, but since you're going to be working closely as president-elects and with assistant governors, we're going to provide an opportunity for you to have some discussion time. I'm going to introduce then the district's strategic plan to you with a little bit of history, how we arrived where we did, and what the action plan is for this year, and some action items moving forward. After that, I'm going to share with you the president-elect training schedule and the different topics, and then we have designed a breakout room focused on getting some feedback from you. And I have two specific questions that I will be asking you again in the regional breakout room to discuss. Then we're going to turn it over to Ron for a few minutes, and he's going to talk about the role of president and the role of the assistant governor. And then we do have time towards the end of our session for any questions and answers that questions you might have and answers that we may have for you. And then I'll introduce you to what we're going to be doing next week in session 2. So next slide, please, Charles. All right, so we're going to give you 15 minutes. We'll call you back together at 7:20. And what I would like you to do is in your regional groups, first of all, introduce yourself and share with your Rotary colleagues what club you're from, and to share an interesting Rotary experience. And then if you have any time left over, you can have a free conversation about Rotary or some other interesting things that are going on in your area or in your life. So Charles is going to put you now into the regional breakout rooms, and we'll see you back together at 7:20.
Why can I not see this?
These things metastasize. And Nancy Pelosi.
It's working now, Shelley.
Welcome back.
Thank
Sorry
you,
about
Charles.
the mess up.
That's okay. It all worked. Okay, so thanks, Charles, for putting up the next screen for me. So I'm going to spend a few minutes and talk with you about our new district strategic plan. Some of you may be familiar with it. Some of you may have already found it on the district website, but just for some background. So last year, the district governor team worked with Ann Birmingham, and Ann is a principal with 2WA Consulting. And I had worked with Ann with the Rotary Club of Coburg, oh gosh, probably about 8 or 9 years ago. And so she worked with the district governor team to develop our current strategic plan. The nice thing about Ann is she's a fellow Rotarian, and like District Governor-elect Ron Dick, she is the district governor-elect for District 7090. So that's 2 districts west from us. So we began in October, excuse me, and culminated in presenting the plan at last year's district assembly. The development process included an input session with a diverse district leaders in November, followed by sounding boards in January, a presentation of the draft strategic plan to the district leadership team last February, and then we did do a district-wide survey to get some baseline data to measure its effectiveness. And we'll be going back out to the district in late March, early April, with some similar questions, just to get a sense of how things are the same or have changed since we did that input last year. So the next slide, please, Charles. Thank you. So our strategic plan has 4 strategic directions. Do more together, use clear and consistent messaging, build awareness and pride in the Rotary brand, and help clubs take meaningful action. So let's talk a little bit about do more together, which is the next slide. So working with your assistant governors, they will be planning at least 2 regional presidents meetings. So that's where, you know, the district is divided into 5 regions. So all of the presidents for that region and their corresponding assistant governors, you'll come together at least 2 times next year. You'll also work as a group of regional presidents to plan one cluster meeting, and that could focus on the district governor's visit. And then there'll be 5 meetings where 2 or more clubs get together and talk about club collaboration. It could be a club collaboration with respect to service, fundraising, you know, public image, whatever. But those will be other regional meetings that you'll be involved in. And then you'll also have discussions about how we can strengthen the partnership between Rotary and Rotaract. So with clear and consistent messaging, the District Public Image Committee has worked really hard and continues to work hard on creating common messaging about what is Rotary. And they will be sharing that with presidents so that you can add that messaging so you can add to their messaging what your clubs are doing and what unique causes you're involved in and what projects. And then we want to have some input from you about how well our message is being heard in your community. The third strategic direction is build awareness in the Rotary, awareness of and pride in the Rotary brand. And here we're looking to encourage presidents to profile your projects on the district website. We're also promoting the participation of the Rotary family in district and multi-club events. And we're asking presidents to promote the Grow Rotary workshops, particularly for your club membership committee. In terms of helping clubs take meaningful action, we're encouraging presidents to grow Rotary, including the effective use of technology for your club activities and meetings. and to support presidents to promote Interact and Rotaract clubs. Okay, all right, so now I'm going to give you an overview of what the different training seminars are going to focus on. So you have already seen the agenda for tonight. Next week, we're going to hear from District Governor-elect Ron Dick about the year ahead. He's at the International Assembly at the moment, virtual assembly, and he's going to provide you with some information that he's gleaned from participating in the International Assembly and talk about what's ahead for the 21-22 year. And we'll also talk about the district conference, 2022 district conference. Our district governor nominee, Iosif Ciosa, he's going to introduce you to online tools that you are going to find essential to support you in the role of club president. Then the following week, we have presentations from 3 leads at the district leadership team. One's going to talk about membership. We have 2 people who are going to speak to us about the Rotary Foundation. And then we have someone who's going to talk to us about public image. The last session in February, we're going to talk about Rotary's areas of focus. And I'm delighted to tell you that RI Director Valerie Wafer, she's going to come and speak to you about her personal experience as a club president when she was president of the Rotary Club of Whitby. In March, we have a number of different presentations. We have one on the Vibrant Club. We have from an outside presenter, and then we're going to introduce you to the Rotary Citation. We have another speaker who's going to be speaking on the 10th of March, and her focus is on dealing with conflict in Rotary. The March 17th session, we're going to hear from Youth Services, and we're going to provide you an opportunity in the regional breakout rooms to talk about club collaboration and get that dialogue started and see where you have some synergies for projects that you're doing, fundraising, or other public image, or other collaborative adventures that you would like to get involved with. And then our last session, we have some business to attend to. District Governor nominee designate John Burns, he's going to talk about goal setting in Rotary Club Central. And then we have a special guest who's going to talk to you about if I was club president again. So on to the next slide, please, Charles. So what I would like to do now, and Charles is going to put us back into breakout rooms for 10 minutes. I'd like you to talk about the 2 questions that are on the screen. And I would ask that each group identify a recorder and a reporter. And the recorder, I'd like you to email me what you talk about after our session tonight. And then the reporter's job will be, when we come back together in a large group setting, be able to report about your discussion. But having seen what we have scheduled for you for the President-elect training seminars, 2 questions. Are there topics that we have included that you don't think you're going to need? And are there topics that we haven't scheduled that you think you will need? Because we do have an opportunity to shift some things around or add and subtract based on what your needs are for you to be successful in your role next year. So again, a recorder and a reporter, and then answer the 2 questions. Are there topics that we have included that you don't think you will not need? And are there topics that are not yet scheduled that you think you will need? So we're going to give you 10 minutes. So we'll have you come back at 7:40, and then we'll have a 15-minute reporting back to the larger group. Okay, Charles?
All right. Everyone's going to the rooms now.
Charles, did you just bring our room back? Because this is everybody we were just in our breakout room with.
Okay, everybody is supposed to be coming back. 2 seconds, everybody's going to close.
I just like
And
to
here
give you
they
a hard
come.
time, Charles. I just like to give you a hard time.
I appreciate it. I don't have enough abuse in my life. People are coming back now as we speak. Everyone looks to be back.
Great. Okay. So we should have had 5 recorders, if I'm correct. So let's hear from someone. Let's go with Region 1. We'll start with you guys. Let's hear what you have, you want to share with the large group, and we'll see if there's some overlap or some new ideas that we should be incorporating into the training seminars. So who's the reporter for Region 1? Everybody's all of a sudden quiet and shy.
Well,
Oh,
which one is
I'm for
region
3.
one?
Renata, you're the
Group
one
one.
on.
Is
I mean,
Renata?
Group
Yeah.
one.
Okay. Okay, no problem.
Yep.
Okay, so we
You're up,
have,
Renata.
yeah, can you hear me? Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So basically we will, the team came up with a few ideas that we will think we need. So more time on the online tools, and then best practice on social media, how to involve Rotaract or Interact, and more information on district and global grants for the new president. Then we also ask if there is a schedule, suggest a schedule for what to do or what for the new president, how to schedule everything, whatever the district is expecting. Then the strategic district information plan, and then at least by month of what to do, how to plan the 12 months of the presidency.
Okay,
I don't
thanks,
think.
Renata.
Okay.
Okay, let's hear from Group 2.
I think I was in group 2, even though I know I'm in region 4. But so when it came to the topics that they thought they wouldn't need or we wouldn't need, the group basically said we didn't memorize the list, so we can't remember what we wouldn't need.
Good.
When it comes
I mean,
to
that just gives us, that's good feedback to know that we're planning our training seminars on the right track.
right. So what the topics are that they might need or would like to have is how to successfully apply for Rotary Foundation grants. What are some legacy and recurring events or projects that happen on an annual basis for each of the clubs? And we talked about how some of these cluster meetings will help facilitate that sharing of information. What are some unique and successful projects that clubs have taken on, and specifically some successful fundraising ideas during this pandemic era? How to report information to Rotary International, and more focused training on the subtleties of Club Runner and My Rotary, and how do we elevate individuals to get into district roles, i.e. what is the criteria, what does it take, how do you do that?
Great, thanks, Andrea. So whoever is the recorder for that, for Group 2, if you would send that information to me, that will be helpful when I have a discussion on Monday afternoon with the DG team to finalize all the sessions. So let's hear from Group 3.
Hi, Anthony from Group 3. We had a couple of issues, a couple of points. Basically, we agreed that whatever was contained in the list is good, nothing to remove. We had a couple of additions that we think might make the list a little bit more exhaustive for the new committee president. We said the new president, the issue that was raised, and the first point that came up was the opportunity for the new presidents. In terms of best practices, what's been done, what has worked in other clubs in the past, in terms of fundraising, how do they fundraising, maintaining the fundraising, maintaining a healthy balance of new members and the balance sheet. What's the correlation between those two? How do you get the sweet spot for both and make sure you're whole and working properly? The number 2 point was networking for new president. Since Chicago is not an option, what do we do in these situations? I think Ron said he's probably going to address that later. We didn't delve into details on that. Number 3, John Bones from Ottawa, Durham Region 2 says they do have a really working system that's really worked for them, in the sense that what they do, they have a collaboration between the incoming presidents and the AGs in terms of learning best practices and see what they can do and going forward. So it's more like a knowledge bank for them for the scalable project that they've done in the past. That could they translate that for the news president? There's usually like a mentor and a mentee relationship where they can actually resign, where they can reach out to and get some help. Membership retention was actually was raised again. We've already discussed that in the first point. And the last one was what is it gonna look like in post-pandemic era? Like, what is the expectation? I don't know if we've been spoiled right now. We're all in our homes, log into the meetings because it's very convenient. Is there going to be a challenge getting everybody back to the old ways? How do we transition everybody from these old ways, from this new norm to when the pandemic is no longer an issue? Those are the issues that was raised.
Thank you very much. Let's hear for Region 4.
Hi, Peter Hernandez, Rotary Club of Oshawa, here for Region 4. A few of the ones that jumped up were once again around sponsorship. I've heard that a few times already on how to build a sponsorship, list that you can call on repeatedly throughout events, as well as fundraising ideas, the how-tos around to raise more funds in these lean times that we're living. An extension of that was also tapping into corporate and business sponsorships, how to and best practices too. A unique one that hasn't come up yet was Robert's Rules. Now, how do you run a formal meeting? And we all see it, but few of us have been trained on it. There is workshops maybe would be something. The third one was roles. All the roles within, or most of the roles that are potentially within our club. And an example of that is, as I'm putting together this upcoming year, I'm trying to put forth candidates and ask people to be like a sergeant of arms. Now, we all know what a sergeant of arms is, more or less, and we can explain it to them when we're asking them and offering them the position. But when you look for it, you might find a sentence here or a sentence there. But where can we put together and where can we go to get a nice, rich data bank of all the roles? I know there's some roles there in the Learning Center, like the president and treasurer, but many of those side roles sometimes don't necessarily have a description assigned to them. Fourth, we talked about committees. And around committees, we want to know more about committees. There's some clubs that have upwards, we were told, of 130 committees, and some that are streamlining it more to maybe 10 or 15 committees. We want to find out about what's a good balance, and we know that every club is different, but once again, what's a good balance between committees and growing the club through committees, while also being aware that maybe you're stretching your resources, your members too much and overwhelming them with committees. And the fifth one was echoed somewhat here already, which was around timelines. I think group one said they called it schedule timelines for the incoming members, incoming presidents coming through, so that they start 6 months or a year early and start strong with a formalized checklist. I'm fortunate enough that I have people that are feeding me information as I go, but it's very informal, and I'm searching it out and asking, but maybe if there was something very specific to help the incoming presidents.
Okay, great, Peter, thank you.
Thank you.
And then let's hear from the last group, group 5.
And that would be me. We talked about the 7th area of focus, and we wanted to make sure that was going to be covered in the district, in the PETS training, because several clubs have already started committees for that. And they also wanted to make sure that the diversity, equity, and inclusion was better talked about. Certainly, what's the word I want? Anyway. Courtney was in our group, and so he reminded everyone that he is available to be a speaker to their club if they wish. We talked about best practice, or that we would like some best practice to transition from Zoom back to meeting in person, which someone else already mentioned. Some clubs get better attendance on Zoom, especially the younger ones, because they're very, very busy with personal lives. And so it eliminates the traveling time needed
Right.
to meet in person. Another idea was just that to do hybrid meetings, and then you would be able to better respect the comfort levels of all members.
Okay, great. So thanks everybody for your feedback. Some good suggestions, and if you as recorders could email that, excuse me, email that information to me, that'll be helpful when I meet with the district team on Monday afternoon, just to talk about tonight's session and just finalize our plans moving forward. I did build in a few more minutes, so if there are other people after having heard what we just heard back from the reporters, if there are other comments you'd like to make, happy to dedicate a few minutes of that so that we can finish off this conversation.
Beth, there was one comment made in our group that was right late in the time frame for Anthony to pick up. But I believe, Gil, you had mentioned that you'd like to see us at the district give you a longer time horizon on what's going to happen in terms of meetings and things, given the current state of the pandemic. And I thought that was a good comment, that sometimes we don't realize we're not communicating far enough out for you to be able to make your plans.
Right. So I think that actually will be, I think, something that you're going to cover next week, because you're going to talk about the year ahead.
Yep.
And so I think that's something that when we meet on Monday, we can flesh out a bit more. But I think that's something that I think you had intended to share with the group, so they knew when meetings were going to be held, and so that there's and to Peter's point, that there's an opportunity to do some pre-planning. I shared with the group that I was with, and Rick Riley happened to be in that group as well, that in the year and a bit leading up to when I was club president in 15, 16, I kept notes by month what needed to be done. And so it became, like, to Peter's point, it became like a checklist. So, what did I need to do in June for readiness in July? And I actually even broke it down by meeting. So, like each club has its own rhythm. So in the Rotary Club of Coburg, the first meeting is it's like a mini classification talk by the president, because you will have done your speech to the club sometime in the past. You got new members, and it was just a nice way to start the year off. And then our second meeting is always our budget. So those are the kinds of things. So I said I'd be willing to share that with the group. It's a little bit dated, but it gives you something to start with, and then you can modify it to meet your own club needs based on, as I say, the rhythm of your own club. But happy to share that with the group. We did talk about grants, and there were a couple groups that mentioned that. And we have Richard Minwini, who is here tonight, incoming president to the Rotary Club of Newmarket, but he's also going to be presenting with the district leads on the areas of focus a little bit later on. And I said that I would ask the foundation, the Rotary Foundation presenters, to talk about grants. And thank you for whoever brought up the 7th area of focus. We want to make sure that we do get that included as well. And Charles, you're on the line, and a couple of people asked about having access to these sessions. And I know you're recording the one tonight, but perhaps we can make arrangements to record all of them and then let the group know where they can find them. If they, for one, are unable to join, or two, want to go back and listen again and say, oh, I think I missed a part of that discussion. So between now and next week, I'll touch base with Charles and find that out for everybody. I think when we talk about some of the best practices and sponsorship, how to raise more funds, I think those are going to be good discussions that you're going to have with the assistant governors in your regional meetings. I think that's helping the assistant governors with some topics, and I think a really key one is going to be for all of us. You know, how do we transition from Zoom back to how we were meeting before the pandemic? And are we going to be in a position where either in the short term or the long term, we're going to have hybrid models, or, you know, what's the plan? And I think it's really going to be very important for us collectively to have those conversations. I think to ease everybody else's mind here, but also to have some consistency throughout the district. You know, I think it'll be important for people in Wellington to know what people are doing in Alliston, and that we, you know, share those ideas, and we have some common approaches to moving forward. So thanks very much for all that, people. And as I say, if the recorders could send that information to me, that would be wonderful. And Charles, maybe in the chat, could you just put my my email address so that people can write it down if they're the recorder? selbyandvale@gmail.com, and then I'll just go over those lists to make sure I haven't overlooked anything. Okay, so moving on now, we have about 20 minutes moving forward when we're going to hear from our illustrious district governor-elect, Ron Dick, and he's going to talk about the role of the president and the role of assistant governors.
Well, thank you, past district governor Beth, and our training director who's done such a wonderful job putting together our PETS program for this year. How about a round of applause for our training director? Yeah. I think she must have an educational background. So yeah, our PETS this year, when you think of what we had done in the past, PETS 1 and PETS 2, you would have spent a Saturday sitting at the Oshawa Golf Club, and then you would have spent a Saturday sitting at the BMO Learning Center. And as exciting as those two locations are, when you think of the 8 sessions for an hour and a half each, it's about the same 12 hours. And there was a huge amount of work that Beth went to putting together this segment for you over the 8 weeks. And I hope you enjoy the way we've structured it, because we didn't want you sitting for too long, but at the same time, we had to try and give you all the tools that you needed to do your job as president, the network, the connection, all those things. And also, even if you've been president before, all the new stuff with all the online connections within our clubs, our district and Rotary. And past district governor Beth, thank you for putting together a great program for the crew. So welcome everyone. I'm excited as I look around the room. And I have to move my screen to look around the room because there's like 3 screens, right? But I'm really excited. I've been excited because I've had many conversations with many of you over the last year. I think we've got a great year coming up. And when I see all of you and I see the contributions you're making in the discussion rooms, I know it's going to be a great year. So Beth has asked me to talk about the role of the president. And I've been a president before, actually 3 times. You'd think I got it right the first time, but it was 3 different clubs, 3 different districts. And I never intended to be the president the 3rd time. I sort of got shoved into it. Enjoyed it immensely. But there's a lot of people on this Zoom meeting today that have been a president before and maybe are repeating again this year. So rather than me say, what's the role of the president, I'd like to ask you what you think the role of the president is. And I know you're all going to be thinking, and while you're doing that, I'd like to call upon my good friend Nisi Dillon from Whitby Sunrise to tell us what she thinks the role of the president is.
Thanks, Ron. So basically, I thought the role of the president was being a leader, being engaging, being inspiring, being approachable, all while proudly promoting Rotary in your community. So that was my thought. Message me privately and I'll tell you really what being a president is all about.
Don't be scaring them. That's a really good start. So you all had a chance to think while Nisi was answering. So what do you think the role of the president is? Maybe we can hear from some of our repeating presidents. Don't all speak at once.
People will have to unmute themselves.
Yes.
Okay, Ron, I don't mind. Roger Tessier. I think the role of the president is to actually be the person that's going to kind of play a chess game. If you can relate to a chess game, you have a whole bunch of little people in your club who actually have, like Cobra Club, for instance, has 138 members, and each one of them think they know how to run the club, and it's all different. So your main focus is to try and get them to all agree, and once you attain that, you can become district governor.
Thanks for the warning.
You want me to say a few words, Ron? It's
Please, Liz.
Hi, everybody. It's Liz Compton from Toronto, Leaside, and I am currently the president and going to be again next year. And like Nisi, and we've become we've become friends, haven't we? Yeah.
Absolutely.
But you've got the dry February, so unlike myself. Anyway, I understand what you're doing. I truly think, and I think, to be honest, let's face it, 2020 was a challenging year. So it would be like no other, really. So at the end of the day, I think you need to be an inspiration. And to be an inspiration, you have to listen to, I think of everybody in my business, I'm a realtor, I think of everybody sort of as a family, you know? And I think in a family, all family members are different, but yet they all have something special to offer. So I think that's really important. So, I mean, you want to retain your members and you want to bring other members in. And I think that both are as important, because sometimes it's those quiet ones, and especially when we're running Zoom meetings, it's those quiet ones that have so much to offer, but they don't even realize it themselves. So I think it's getting to know everybody. And I remember Beth, gosh, this was maybe 2 years ago, you were talking about actually, which we can't do now, but having a meeting so you could phone somebody, get to know them, get to know your members. And that's what I did in the beginning. I did make a few calls because I knew there were some members that I was told they may not even come back, and they ended up just wanting to be heard. And then it's encouraging the new members, being an inspiration. But I think as a president as well, it's very important. Something that I struggled with is being you. As each member has something special to offer, we as presidents all have something special to offer as well. So don't try to be like the president that you are replacing. Be you, because you've been asked to be president for a reason. You have a lot to offer. And I think that's really important, because once we can kind of remove that about trying to be something else, just be who you are. And we all have good points and bad points. And then it's to listen to everybody and inspire. I think that's really important. So that was a lot that I said. I didn't mean to. Sorry about that.
No, Liz, thank you. And Nisi and Roger, thank you, because yeah, you all brought out important aspects of the role of the president. I'm going to just share screen if you don't mind. And if you do mind, that's okay. This is my Rotary. If you go into my Rotary and you go to learning and reference, so I've just highlighted, I just hover over it. And I go to learn the role. And then I go to club roles and I click on that. Then I move down so it opens up. Now, how many of you would have been able to find that, like knew that where that was? Just so I know if I'm talking to who knows what they're doing and who's kind of lost here.
Well, they should have all, Ron, because in my email of invitation, I guided them how to get to exactly what you just did.
Well, whoever didn't put their hand up now has to go to detention. So here's the club rules. So Peter, to answer your question about treasurer, secretary, committee, it's right there.
Yeah,
You'll
I know it's
notice-
there. No, but mine was more than just those four. Mine was about like sergeant at arms and executive secretary. There's other roles that aren't there.
That's okay. We'll get to that. So the role of president, you heard some great answers from Nisi and Liz and Roger. But in my Rotary, it says, as president, you lead and motivate your club, ensuring that club members feel valuable, inspired, and connected to each other. And I think you heard exactly that from Nisi, Liz, and Roger. And if more of you chipped in, you probably would have said more of the same. I think that the role of president is a balance, a very delicate balance of leading your club and serving your club. Now, for your benefit, and this goes back to some of the comments about what you wanted to see more of, you're going to see Iosif and John Burns talk about, Iosif Ciosa and John Burns talk about some of these tools of Club Runner, My Rotary, and the district website. Right now, we're in My Rotary. So as president, you should be going in here, if you haven't already, and look at the resources and reference. And the one tool in here is your club president's manual. You're probably not going to want to print this off because it's, let me click it open here. It's 82 pages, but you might want to save a soft copy as your workbook into your computer. Now, the first couple of pages don't mean anything because it's the Council of Legislation from 2019, and we don't have to worry about that till next year. And I trust all of you would have incorporated these changes into your club constitution and bylaws. And yes, Peter, we did. But when you get to the contents, I'm not going to go through the whole workbook. But when you get to the contents, your year as club president, planning your year. So some of the questions that I heard come up, some of the answers are right here. Talks about leading Rotarians, working with your leadership team, member education, motivation, recognition, running your meetings, right down to some of the details, running your club, strengthening your membership, promoting Rotary, the Rotary Foundation, projects, community internationally. How many of you have already gone in and downloaded this book, this workbook? Okay, I can only see 5 people, so I don't know who all else stuck their hand up. But I hope if you haven't already, please go into My Rotary and do this. One of the things that concerned me about our district is there's a report that can be generated off of My Rotary. And what it tells us is how many Rotarians out of our close to 1,900 Rotarians in our district, how many have actually gone to My Rotary and signed in. So not use it every day, not use it, just who's even gone in and signed in. Would you be surprised to find out 44.7% of our Rotarians have never signed in to My Rotary?
Wow.
And I can give you the club stats for each of your club if you want. I won't do that here, but I'm happy to share that with you. I can even give you a list of who they are. Because it's easy, because My Rotary has the ID number and it says if they signed in or not. So I think one of the things we have to up our game in is getting ourselves better trained and more versed in using My Rotary, Club Runner, and the district website for the great tools that they are, and getting it promoted to our members. So the 44% of the members that have never looked at My Rotary are standing on the platform, and the train left the station 3 years ago. They can't even see the train now. They are dark to a significant percentage of Rotary, of the tools, the resources, the communications that are built for them. So I challenge you to think about that. And as we work through this 8 weeks, we're going to talk about these tools a little bit to try and give you the information to help you make your year easier. And I encourage you to work with your clubs to see if we can bring our members to 100%. Now, I know there's going to be the one cranky old person that's going to say, gee, I'm just not going to go there. But when you think of the way we do things today and the way we did things 30 years ago, it just makes sense that we take advantage of the websites and the online tools that we've got. And I look forward to John Burns and Iosif Ciosa in their sessions to be able to work with a little more detail with these tools for you. So your role as president, most of you know it because you're already doing it, but for those of you the first time, it's going to be one of the more exciting years of your life. As I think I heard Liz say, you're going to be a better person for it, as I heard someone say in our group. And it's a delicate balance of leading your club and serving your club. So I want to leave the presidents for a minute and talk about the assistant governors. And I want to thank all of you for being here. Thank all of you for the commitment to your Rotary Club that you're already making and you're making for another year. And the commitment of the assistant governors that are making a 3-year commitment to work with you in their regions. So I'm going to share my screen again. And our assistant governors, if I was in my Rotary, I could go down to a different section and show you, what the job description is for the assistant governors. But it's real simple. It's there to help me, but more importantly, they're there to help you. They're the ones that are going to build that relationship, that connection, be that resource for you. And here's the list of them. And I made the list so big, I can't even see all of it. But in our assistant governor alignment this year, we've made a couple of significant changes. The first is we've added the Rotaract clubs. Because as you know, Rotary said, over the next 2 years, we're going to go through a transition where Rotaract and Rotary are going to stand shoulder to shoulder. So we thought one of the more important steps, or one of the important steps that we could take towards that transition, is to make sure they were included in our club alignment to promote collaboration, coordination, and getting the Rotaract clubs the same information, the same resources, the same help that the Rotary clubs get. The second big change that I noticed was a long time ago in our policies and procedures, we set up 5 regions in our district to rotate the foundation walk. But when we overlaid the assistant governors on those 5 regions, we found a number of the assistant governors had clubs in 2 different regions. That's going to make it pretty difficult to set up a regional president's call. So the one thing we did in this list, you can see, is that we realigned those. Now, there's really not much change in region 1 and 2. They were already pretty well aligned. The only thing we did in region 1 is we added the Belleville Loyal Rotaract Club. And Brenda, thank you for taking that under your wing and working with them in your clubs. So Brenda, Kim, and Rick are now going to continue to work together with those clubs for cluster meetings, joint meetings. And this year, by the way, it's your turn for the foundation walk. So you better get cracking pulling those presidents together to figure out who's going to host the walk in late September, October, when it's likely that we can all get back together. The foundation walk may be the first time we can all get together. When you think about it, God willing, with those vaccines coming. Region 2, basically no change. It's the 10 clubs in Durham. And as John Burns said earlier, they've done a phenomenal job with their regional presidents meetings with sharing. And it goes to answer a lot of those questions about where do I find out about fundraising and other activities for my club. So thank you, Gordon, for coming in to replace John, and good work, Jay and Linda, to continue with that group. Now, the real changes came for some of the clubs in regions 3, 4, and 5. So what we did there with the assistant governors is region 3 is GTA East. So Sonam, Larry Watmore, working with Malia Khan and Dame and Susan Roper, will coordinate those clubs in the East Side and Markham. I'd like to welcome Malia Khan as the first Rotaractor Assistant Governor to join our team. That deserves a round of applause.
Thank you so much.
One of the things we found with having Malia join the team is that some of the Rotary systems were not set up to connect the Rotaractors the same way Rotary took for granted. So Larry Watmore has gratefully agreed to work with Malia to work through that transition. So Larry, welcome to the team. Sonam, welcome to the team. Susan, welcome to the team, but it's not really welcome to the team because we actually got you to already fill in and you're already at work, as is Deme. Region 4 is Central GTA. There we have Andrea Tyrone, again, former Rotaractor, but now a member of the Toronto Rotary Club, joining us as a new member to our team. Welcome, Andrea. Courtney, who's the senior member of the group. I thought that get a response from Courtney, who's taking over a new set of clubs, and Khorshad Khan, who's another new member to the group. So welcome, Khorshad. Thank you. So Khorshad, Courtney, and Andrea will work together with those clubs in Region 4 for a much easier coordination for our regional presidents meetings, cluster meetings, joint club activities, much as you have requested in our strategic plan. Last but not least, region number 5, GTA West, goes from Etobicoke and Toronto West all the way north to Alliston. So we have Michael Parker, who's our long distance assistant governor. Now, in the days of Zoom, that doesn't make much difference, but Michael will be reaching out from Cobourg to look after Alliston, Kleinburg, Nobleton, Schomberg, and Woodbridge. Nick Ryle is returning. And Jay Lave, along with Michael, are our two new assistant governors in region number 5. So for the club presidents, this is our new alignment. This should make it easier for you to get together and have your regional presidents meetings, your club coordination, your cluster meetings. And I encourage you to work with your assistant governors. I encourage the assistant governors to work together as a team so that we can take this thing and grow Rotary. Now I have one question. I have another question for you. When do you want to meet? I don't expect you to answer me right now, but right now, District Governor Mark, and before Mark, past District Governor Beth, had to pivot with the pandemic, and we had to accelerate our meetings and make them more, have them in monthly as opposed to quarterly because everything was moving so fast. We're at the stage now where we still need to keep our eye on the ball that way, but we might be able to ratchet it back a little bit. My suggestion, and it's just a suggestion, whatever we do is going to be what you want to do, is to give you a bit of background. Our district governor team meets every Friday morning at 7:45 for 45 minutes. Our district leadership team meets every month to do the business of the district. And it's the third Monday of the month, I think. Our presidents currently meet the first Monday of the month at 5 o'clock. Our assistant governors are now going to meet the fourth Monday of the month at 5 or 6 o'clock. What did I miss? And then there's the regional presidents meetings. There's Grow Rotary. There's the other Rotary Leadership Institute, and of course, president-elect training right now. So my question to you is, how often and when do you want to meet? I'm thinking that maybe what you might want to consider is that we'll still meet monthly. And maybe the first meeting of the quarter, we'll all get together. So just like this, we'll get together the first, so July. And then in August and September, each region will have their meeting. And then October, we all get together again as all of the presidents. And then November, December, you have your regional presidents meetings. So there's still a meeting every month, but we're alternating quarterly and getting the regional meetings in place in the other 2 months. So there's still a communication every month. I don't know what you think about that idea, but I thought it was one way to sort of take a little bit of a step back in the number of meetings we have and still be able to be talking to each other each month to share the ideas that we need to about membership and fundraising and all the other good things about Rotary. So if you have a thought, throw it in chat or just wait. We will circle back to figure it out. Now, before I leave you and turn the meeting back to Beth, I just want to recognize two special people. We always have, sorry, we haven't always had, but in the last year, we assigned two coaches to our assistant governors, so they had an additional line of communication to be able to go to. And I want to say a big thank you to Gord Leverton and Shirley Ross for filling that role this past year. Gord has recently moved to Ottawa and has joined one of the Ottawa Rotary clubs, so he won't be with us. And Shirley Ross is asked to be able to step back to work more on the matters with her club. So we've asked John Burns, District Governor Designate, sorry, District Governor nominee designate, to be our coach for the east side of the district, and Iosif Ciosa, our District Governor nominee, to be our coach for the west side. So a big thank you to John and Iosif, and just wanted to make sure that as AGs and presidents, you knew that John and Iosif were on the watch and are there to help you. So with that, Beth, I'm not sure if I did the right job, but there's the role of the president and the role of the assistant governor. And I think we told everybody where to find everybody.
Okay, well, thank you, Ron. That's a great overview of the role of the president and the assistant governors. And thank you very much. It was a great presentation. So we're trying at each session to build in a few minutes towards the end of our session for questions, Q&A, and members of the district governor team will do our best to answer the questions. So before I do a wrap up and intro the session for next week, are there any questions that people have at this point in time that they would like to raise? We may have the answer tonight, or we may have to get you the answer the next time. But if you have a question, this is an opportunity. And as I say, we're trying to build a little bit of this into each of the different sessions. Does anybody have anything they want to ask?
Hey,
that
Beth,
hasn't
I
already-
have something to add. I find it so hard to go into the Rotary website, the district website, any of the websites. I mean, I just, every time I go in, I get lost, and, you know, and I'm not alone. A lot of our members they feel exactly the same. And I'm so frustrated. You try to put in your goals. I forget how to go in the next time. It's really frustrating. Anyway, that's my point.
Okay, so Jim, that's a nice
Yeah.
segue into what we're going to talk about next week. So we're going to start our meeting with hearing from Ron about next year. He'll spend about almost a half an hour talking about next year's plans and give you some information on the 2022 district conference. But then Iosif is going to spend the better part of an hour. So from 7:30 to about 25 after 8, he's going to, I think, Jim, help you and everyone else with, getting into Club Runner, the district website, and My Rotary. So he's got a very comprehensive presentation for the group for next week. We wanted to have this part or this aspect of your training early on, so that you can start to acquaint yourself with the processes. And if you have trouble, you know how to reach out to us for assistance. So if we don't cover everything, Jim, that we need to next week, make sure when we do the Q&A at the end of the session, you raise what needs to be raised, and we can bring it back, circle back another time, another session with more information.
Heather Hebert raised her hand. Go ahead, Heather, if you want to unmute. Heather Hebert.
Oh, Heather.
Yeah, just it's more of a comment, and I don't know if it's other people out there, but I also found it when I was president, is there's a lot of communication by email, which is fabulous. But I find that sometimes I'm forwarding information on and that person's already got it. And I know privacy, we can't list everybody that's got the email, But is there any way we could list at the beginning of the email, just say, this went to all the AGs, or this went all to the membership chairs, or something, so we know as presidents who's got it and who we should follow up with?
Okay, that's something for Ron to, Ron, you can take note of that. I know that last year when I was governor, I in the subject, I typed Rotary, because I asked that question of the president-elect. You know, we're going to communicate. How do you want, make sure you put the first thing in the subject title, Rotary. So
Yes.
I don't, you know, inadvertently delete it, because I know it's coming from you, but your point's well taken, Heather. If it's something that's going out to you know, more than you in the club, then it does become a little bit overwhelming and becomes redundant.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Good. Other comments, questions before we sign off? Okay, Michael?
Beth? Oh, okay.
Yep, thank you. When Ron screen shared and we saw the regional breakdown,
Right.
I noticed our club was in Region 1.
Correct.
But this is more of an alignment question, and I'm not sure whether it's an issue or not. But this year, Kimberly Hulsman has been looking after us, and she's done a great job. And we're with Kimberly again in the new year. But I noticed that Brenda Hellier is with the group with the Loyalist Rotaract Club. And I just wanted to point out that our club founded the Loyalist Rotaract Club, and I'm still very active, attend all their meetings. And I just sort of see, when I see it on the screen, is that we're in a different group with a different AG and seem to be separated from the Loyalist group. So I'm just wondering whether there might need to be a shuffling of the alignment, or at least some more dialogue between Brenda and our club with regards to anything moving forward with the Loyalist Rotaract Club. Because our club is really, we had a dean of media studies who's still with our club, who founded that Loyalist group, and we still really take a real keen interest in wanting to assist them. So that's just a general comment, and I'll just leave it with you just to have a look at, to see whether there's any issue moving forward with dialogue, because we're with a different AG.
He does. He doesn't. Okay, well, thank you for raising that question, Michael, and we can talk about that. I can talk about that with the district governor team when we meet next Monday.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. And did someone else have their hand up? Was it John Burns I heard?
Yeah, Beth, it was actually an answer to Heather's question.
Okay.
If you send out emails through Club Runner, you have a recipients list at the end of the email. As long as you do it through Club Runner, it's within Rotary. It's not like regular email. So everybody that received the email is on the recipient list, Heather.
You can actually choose that, either you add it or you don't add it, but it's available to you.
Yeah, I would think it's a good thing to add it, because it covers the question that Heather had.
Hi, I actually, oh, sorry.
Sorry, it's Jean Kammermeyer, and I'm outgoing president, but I've struggled with this issue as well. We no longer subscribe to Club Runner for our club, so we don't use it. But my issue is with things that come to me, it's not clear whether it's just to presidents, whether it's to all members, or whether it's, you know, who it's to. I don't want to I find myself, I get a lot of emails, but I don't want to overwhelm all my members by resending something that's already been sent to all of them. What I found myself doing was going to the bottom of the message, scanning through that entire list of who got it to verify whether or not my members already have it. But I'm thinking in the title, if it could just say to all Rotary members, to all Rotary presidents, then it'd be very clear to me.
So frustrating.
Yeah, because then I can then,
This kind of
some
stuff,
stuff I
and
do.
it just is
tactical
so, oh, Lord.
I just want to second Jean's and Heather's piece. I get it. I get it that you can append the list in Club Runner, etc. But if you said at the top, by the way, this was sent to all AGs or something that simple, that would be way easier. And also not a privacy violation, but I won't go there. Than scrolling through a giant list of individual names. Just my humble opinion.
Good suggestion, Bruce. Good. So we'll toss those ideas around when we meet on Friday and again on Monday. Well, folks, it's 8:31, and I promised I'd get you out at 8:30. So I'm only a minute late. So thanks very much for joining us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you again next Wednesday. Between now and then, stay safe.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night, everyone.
Have a good
Thank you.
evening.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Bye.
night.
Guys, great job.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Charles.
Welcome.